Hi, okay, so the Aukey dual dash camera has arrived today. Thought I'd give this one a try. Value for money, £109 from Amazon. Let's see what's inside the box. Aukey have obviously learned from Apple's design of putting things into small packages. And so we've got one camera that looks like camera number 2. And this looks like some sort of USB for cigarette lighter, yep. And then at the bottom of that you've got the cables. That's the big long cable for connecting the front camera to the back camera. Various little sticky pads, and I can assume that is the cable for the front camera connected to the USB. Right, I'll get back to you when I start putting this together once I've had a good look at it. Back camera, that's your back camera, and you just basically use the sticky pad connector, stick it to the back windscreen, and that just clips into the back of the camera, slots on, holds it up. Front camera, so it's a little bit bigger, it's got a little display screen, so obviously when it's pointing out of the windscreen you can see the display and the controls, and that's the connectors. So you've got a micro USB, you've got a center GPS connector, so the connector in the middle, you'll see it a bit better there if I can get my arm out of the way, there you go. The middle connector is the GPS, and then the connector on the right is the one that connects the back camera to the front camera. On the side you've got an SD card slot, and that looks like there's a microphone point there, so that's obviously if you're going to record audio, so I'm assuming you can set it in the settings to record. What else comes in the pack? This is the connector for the back, for the front windscreen, sorry, so stick it on the windscreen, and underneath you've got a little slot which slides into the top of the camera. They give you some spare front and back connectors just in case you're a little bit aggressive and you push them on too hard and you break them, so that's a nice little addition. Inside the box you get a load of extra 3M sticky pads, and these are the little cable clips, so if you're not comfortable putting your cables through the carpets and through the door panels, etc., you can use the cable clips. Obviously you can stick them to the interior, or you can stick them to the inside of the metal, then hide them back over with the panels. I don't think I'm going to use them. I'm just going to tuck my lead into the panels and leave it sort of hanging inside there. You also get this fancy little USB cigarette lighter, 2 USBs if you wanted to connect it to your USB cigarette lighter. So when you're driving you plug it into there and it'll power the camera up. I'm actually going to connect mine to a USB device connector I've got inside my car, so it's a nice little handy USB cigarette lighter I've got there. It's quite a nice one as well, it's nice and neat and tidy, it doesn't look like it's big and bulky like one of the ones I've already got in my car. So quite a nice addition there, Aukey, thank you very much. Don't know if it's Aukey or Oki or whatever you want to pronounce it, but so far so good. Right, don't often read user manuals. I'm a proper bloke, and proper blokes don't read manuals, they tend to just stick things in and hope they work. However, I thought I'd give this one a quick scan. It's £100 worth of kit. Didn't want to just throw it in there and it all go wrong. But in the box, you've got this little key card. Just to remind you, you get 24-month product warranty. So, nice, worthwhile thing. Sending it up, registering online. You have to have your Amazon order number for it to work. They will then associate and link it to your Amazon order. No doubt when they ask for proof, they'll ask for your order receipt to make sure it's under warranty. Sounds like a good thing, 24 months, well worth the money. The user manual, a couple of good features in there. The first 10-12 pages are in English, the rest are obviously according to your preferential language. There's a couple of few little features in there. It does tell you about resolutions you can capture in, so this is HD 1080p, so should be a good picture. I will obviously show you some footage once I get the camera up and running, but that'll be a little while before now. Sorry, I've got really bad light here. Right, okay, that's a bit better. There is an LED light apparently on the front of the camera, which is just there, that little grey dot underneath the 3M card, which flashes on and off. At first I did think, why the hell would I want people outside the car to be able to see the the recording, but apparently you can turn that on and off, so you can turn the LED flash off if you wish. One of the nice things I read in the manual was having the microphone on, using it as commentary. So if you did have did witness an accident, you could obviously shout out the number plate number, so you didn't have to actually be on the camera, just shout it out, so at least you've got a record of it. And backing up, it just tells you how to back up from the memory card. That's pretty much it really. That's the manual in a snapshot. Right, just going to power up this dual camera system, and I'm going to do it inside the comfort of my home. I'm going to wire up the rear camera to the big large cable that comes, and wire it up into the camera, which is the front camera. And I'm also going to connect the USB lead to the front camera. So if I just do this, sorry, before. Right, there you go. So I've wired it up into the front camera and the back camera. So the rear camera and front camera are both wired up. And I've also, being an ambassador for Aukey, I've bought one of their power banks, and I'm just going to power it up before I install everything, just to make sure everything's working, because otherwise it'll be all a waste of time. So just power it up, and you should see that the light comes on. So there you go, little green light comes on, and when it boots up it should. Okay, alright, there we go, booted up. Okay, it's asking for a card, that's alright. And then do come. So I'm gonna just set this up. So I'm gonna go into my settings, and I'm just gonna go down to, well, you can check everything. So it's got resolution. I'm gonna go display mode. So bring it down to display mode. Click OK, and I'm gonna go to front camera. I'm not bothered about. Oops. Okay. Flick it up to front camera. Click OK. And then if you go back into it again, the front camera is now selected, so you can see there, front camera. Only because I'm not bothered about having to look at the back window. I've got a mirror for that, so I don't need to do that. Go back out of there. Right, so there we go. So the front camera is now gone. Sorry, the picture is now gone. It just keeps asking for my memory card. Okie dokie, there we go. That's all set up. Next job, stick it in the car. Okay, so this is the rear camera, which I've positioned just at the side of my brake light. Okay, and as you can see here, I've used the 90-degree connection on this side. I don't really see what the difference is. The camera seems to work. Now, in terms of wiring, entirely up to you how you do. I'm not going to show you the wiring. I've got a BMW. Your car might be different, so it'll depend on your fittings and interior. But basically, my camera fits snugly behind the interior roof, and then I basically followed it across the top of the door, all the way down the armrest, and it goes up to, not the armrest, through the other door, up through the behind the mirrors, up behind the sun visors, and to the camera. There's a lot of excess wires, plenty of wire, and I can tell you now, I've had to tuck a lot of the wire down the side of there. Now be careful, because on my car I've got an airbag, so I've made sure it's behind the airbag, and it goes right down behind the back of the dash. There's plenty of wire. If you go down to the bottom, you might not have as much wire, excess wire, but there was plenty of wire to get from the front camera to the back. As for the front camera, the lead again goes up behind the visors, down the armrest, and I've got it going down behind the dash. Now, they do give you a USB connection to fit into your cigarette lighter. I've not connected mine to there. I've actually connected mine inside the glove box. Right, so this is inside my glove box. This is my glove box, and as you can see, I've got a USB adapter fitted inside my glove box, and this black lead here is the lead that comes down through the armrest into the back of the car, and I've tucked away all the excess wire behind this plastic paneling. Okay, the other lead, this other stripy lead, is for my car charger, because I've got a car phone, and I've put that in there. Now, this doesn't come standard with the car. I've actually fitted this into my car myself, so obviously if you are not competent with electrics, you'll need to feed the wire back down and then connect it to your cigarette lighter, which I don't quite fancy doing. Mine's just nice and neatly tucked away, and it boots up. When the engine starts, it boots up. Now, the camera comes with a motion detection system, which needs this lead connected to a permanent battery source. I am at some point going to reconnect this USB to a permanent power source so that it does work on the motion detection system. But for now it just only powers up when I start the engine, so it powers back down when I turn the engine off. But it does the trick, and it's nice and neat, and it's out of the way. Right, fitting the camera into the car. Right, okay, so my advice is this, because I've just learnt a valuable lesson trying to do this the first time. Put the sticky pad plate onto the back of the camera first, and then position it where you want it in your car. Okay, so get that all set up and positioned, and then what I would suggest you do is power it up and make sure the camera's in the right place, because the trouble is, if you try and position this, trust me, what you think is straight isn't necessarily straight. And I actually stuck this on the first time, got it wrong when it powered up, and it was slightly off angle. So get it powered up, position up, and look at the screen. Not the best screen to look at, but at least you get an idea if it's pointing in the right direction. And then peel off the sticky label and then stick it where you positioned it. Okay, so there's my bit of advice. And then other thing there is, when you've got that in, do exactly the same for the rear camera, but you might need somebody just to look at the screen while you're in the back of the car so they can tell you whether or not the view is okay. What you don't want to do is stick it on, peel it off, stick it on, peel it off, stick it on, because you will lose the peelability on the sticky. Alright, so my advice is get it positioned first and then stick it up. So once you've got it positioned, so I've got mine positioned in the right place, I've positioned it so it's behind the mirror. Alright, so it's right over there. So it's not in my view when I'm driving. I've read conflicting reports online about how the camera, if it's in the view of the driver, it can fail its MOT. So I've purposely positioned it behind the mirror. Alright, so it's up to you. You can position it wherever you like. Seems to be conflicting rules depending on which MOT department or service department you install it with or get your car serviced with. For me, this was the way. So basically now, I've got the wires in. So the wires, so USB wires. You'll see that there's two wires here. Okay, one's the power lead, and the thicker one is the lead that goes right to the back of the car. Now, it does say in the manual to connect the 90-degree lead to the back of the camera, and I don't know why. I just wired it in, realized it was the wrong way around, plugged it all in, and everything worked. Okay, so just to show you, just gonna lead, so everything just fits in nicely behind the mirror. All right, so you've got a nice sort of, can you even see that? I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you should be able to see that I've got both leads into the back of the thing. And when I power up the car, there we go, turn that down. So powered up, green light comes on, and hey presto, give it a second, it'll probably ask me for a memory card. So it's powered up, it's come on, there's the two cameras. So you can set this up, so yes, ask you for my card again, and then you can just go into settings, set it all up, and it should be okay. Right, here's some more footage of the dual cam. So this is the front camera, and it's just basically me setting off. So I'll just speed it up a little bit so you can see how they're moving. Right, so you can see there it's picking up signs, road signs, everything pretty clear. And if I was to just sort of stop it, so you can see there, look, I'm pulling up behind this car, and there you go, you can see the number plate quite clearly. Just move on a little bit just to help you identify. So I can see here road signs. Okay, so there's an AA van and there's some road signs clearly there. I'm sure if I was to pause and zoom in, I could probably read the number plate on the back of that car as well. So there we go. Alright, so you can clearly see the signs and stuff. So again, pretty decent camera. And then switch to the rear view one, And again, that's me, so you can see someone doing the shopping just by the end of the car. Alright, so this has also got the same audio recording on the file as per the other one. So there you go, you can see all the vehicles. Alright, so, and it obviously does this, and it does record up to 8 minutes, 9 minutes worth of footage. Oh, sorry, not 5 minutes worth, not 9 minutes. It records up to 5 minutes worth of footage at a time. So you can see here there are clips. So there's a load of clips here with the date on, 2018 August and 14. So it's 14th of August 2018, and I'm assuming that's something to do with the time, and that's just obviously the file number. So you have banks of 2 files, front and back camera, A and B. So A being front camera, B being back camera, I would assume, or rear camera. And they take up about 400 megabytes in file size, 400 meg per file. So obviously for front and back camera, you've got 800 megs per 5 minute clip. Now it doesn't stop recording. It does continue to record, but it saves it in 5 minute clip files, so it's just easier to access and copy, etc, etc. I use a Mac, so anybody there with a Mac user, absolutely fine. It reads the card, reads the files, the MPEG-4 files, so they play on QuickTime, etc, etc. So no problems there. The only thing I would say, or at this point, is if you're going to buy a memory card, do not buy one over 128 megabytes in file size. I, being a tight northerner, I went and bought a 256 megabyte SD card, and it doesn't read it. It just doesn't read the card. It keeps saying error, sector size or whatever, keeps going with an error. And then when I read the reviews, everyone says 128 megabyte maximum, and it does say that clearly on the Aukey website as well. So obviously the card reader in the camera doesn't read more than that. So don't try to try and save money and buy a bigger memory card thinking you'll save more files. It doesn't work like that. Well, I hope you liked that review. It's my first one. Tried to cover it in quite a lot of detail. Probably waffled on a little bit too much as well. But anyway, yeah, one of my first reviews. I'll try and get some more up there when I get some more products. Cheers.